What's up, everyone? Good morning and welcome to our Water's Edge online Sunday morning worship experience. Once again, thank you so much for choosing to hang out with us today and worship with us today. For those of you that continue to invite people to our live and in-person services every single Sunday at 9:30 and 11:15 a.m., thank you so very much for doing that. Continue to do that. We have new people that show up every single week. And for those of you that continue to like and share our online worship experiences with your circle of influence, thank you so very much for doing that. We have people that are tuning in from all over the place every single week, getting help with their heart and their life and their faith and their circumstances and their personal storms and their walk with God. Also, for those of you that choose to worship with us every single week online through a very holy and beautiful and sacred way to worship, and that's through giving and generosity. The Bible says, "For God so loved the world that He gave." And when we love, we want to give. When we love God, when we love God's church, when we love God's mission for His church, for the community, then we want to give back. And for those of you that give back, that's an act of worship, maybe by meeting our new $10 challenge. And so for those of you that continue to worship with us online every single week, through giving and through generosity, thank you so very much for doing that. Continue to do that. You allow us to feed more people, help more people, serve more people, shelter more people, minister to more people, and show our community in our city the body of Christ, the grace of God, and the love of Jesus. All right, we all know this. It's summertime, it's hot outside, and today we continue with our current series called Heatwave. Welcome to week 5. Let's start off with these amazing words of Jesus Christ to you and I and to His disciples in Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. He says this about you and I. He says this about people that follow Jesus in this world and people that love Jesus, that you are the light of the world, like a city on a hill that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket or a bowl. Instead, a lamp is placed on a lampstand where it gives light to everything and everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good works, in the same way, let your good deeds shine out for the world to see, to shine out for the community to see, to shine out for other people who are hurting to see, so that everyone will praise your Heavenly Father. In this passage, Jesus seems to indicate that as followers of Jesus, as disciples of Jesus and lovers of Jesus, there seems to be something about our life that's not typical, something strange, something strong, something that makes people curious, something that's peculiar, something that's different, something that's peaceful and joyful, and something that shines. And when we live that way, it helps other people see God. It helps other people see God's love. It helps other people see God's mercy for them and see God's plan for them and see God's purpose for them. Now, I've told you this before, that science discovered a long time ago that people are attracted to things that shine, like gold and silver and precious stones and jewelry and glitter and lights and things like that. If it shines, most people are drawn to it. And I find myself doing the same thing with people in my life. I'm drawn to people who shine. I'm drawn to people who shine with joy. I'm drawn to people who shine with faith. I'm drawn to people who shine with resolve and who shine with purpose and who shine with love and grace and compassion and mercy and kindness and gentleness. They make me better. They give me life. They help me experience God in my heart. And also in my life, I want to be the type of person who has a faith that shines. I want my love to shine. I want my compassion to shine. I want my resolve for Jesus to shine. I want my belief in God to shine. And I want it to reflect to other people the love of God. But also, I want my life to reflect this: how faith in Jesus can help you battle back. How faith in Jesus can help you battle back from failure. How faith in Jesus can help you battle back from your past. How faith in Jesus can help you battle back from disappointment. disappointment and battle back from storms and battle back from adversity and battle back from inner pain and turmoil and survive. But Jesus also made a very interesting statement here in this passage. He says this. He says, you don't usually light a lamp or light a candle and then put a bowl over it or put a basket over it. He says, no, the purpose of lighting a candle, the purpose of lighting a lamp in a dark room is so that light can shine and give light to that dark room and give light to everything and everyone that's in that dark room. If you cover up the light, then you're not allowing it to serve its purpose, and its purpose is to shine. Let me say that again. If you cover up the light, then you're not allowing the light to serve its purpose, and that purpose is to shine. A few years ago, I had to spend like 8 days in the hospital. My disease was acting up and I had to go through some treatment. And so I was in there for like 8 days, and man, they were giving me IVs. They were giving me medicine. I was hooked up to all these wires. I was hooked up to all these machines. I was eating nasty hospital food. And about the 4th or 5th day, I noticed that something just didn't smell right in my room at all. And so I was looking around and I was wondering, what is it that stinks so bad? What is it that smells so bad? And I thought that maybe it was the food, because we all know that hospital food isn't the greatest food, and many times when they would bring me my lunch or they would bring me my dinner, I wouldn't really eat much of it, and I would just kind of set it aside. And so I thought maybe some of the food smelled bad, and so they had taken the food out, and so it wasn't that, and I just couldn't figure it out. And so finally one of the nurses came in, and man, I was looking around trying to find this smell, and I told the nurse, I said, there's a really bad smell in this room, and I can't figure out what it is. And I was moving around trying to figure it out, and the nurse finally looked at me and said, Pastor Tony, Mr. Tony, that smell is you. You haven't taken a shower in like 4 days. It's coming from your armpits. And I was so embarrassed, but I had to face myself. What I thought was a problem that somebody else needed to deal with, what I thought was a problem that somebody else needed to solve and somebody else needed to find, was just coming from myself. The problem was me. The problem was myself. And so the problem that I thought someone else needed to deal with was really me, and I had to deal with it myself. I had to unhook all the wires. I had to unhook all the machines, and I had to finally get into the shower. Now, we do the same thing in our life all the time. We love to point out what other people need to change in their life. We love to focus on. We love to look for. We love to judge and criticize what we think other people need to change in our life, but we rarely look in the mirror, and we rarely focus on ourselves, and we rarely look at what we need to change about our own life. We rarely look in the mirror at our own habits, at our own excuses, at our own weaknesses, at our own patterns, at our own storms in this life. No, we love to point out, focus on, judge, criticize, and shame other people for what we think the weaknesses are in their life and what they need to change in their life, but we rarely look in the mirror. People even do this in church all the time. You hear a message, and the first thing that you start thinking about is the other people that you wish could hear that message, because you're thinking about the things that they deal with instead of the things that you deal with. You're thinking about the things that they need to change instead of the things that you need to change. You're thinking about the excuses that they make instead of the excuses that you keep making. And so today, I want to talk to me, and today, I want to talk to you. And today, I don't want us to focus on other people. I don't want us to focus on what other people need to change. I don't want us to focus on other people's weaknesses. I don't want us to focus on other people's lives. I want us to look in the mirror, and I want us to come face to face with ourselves. And I want us to focus on the things that we need to change about our own life and how we actually make other people feel, and how we reflect the love of Jesus and how we reflect our faith to other people. Remember, there's supposed to be something not typical about our life. There's supposed to be something different about our life. There's supposed to be something compelling about our life. There's supposed to be something about our life that makes other people curious, because we or the light of the world. Now, in Psalm chapter 1, in this passage, we see two different types of people. Number one, we see the type of people that we do not want to let them influence our life. And number two, we see the type of people that we don't want to become ourselves. Number one, we see the type of people that we don't want to let close enough to influence us in a negative way. And number two, we see the type of person that we do not want to ultimately become. Psalm chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. Oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or stand around with sinners, or join in with mockers, but instead you delight in the law of God and the law of the Lord, meditating on it day and night. You're like trees planted along the riverbank, bearing fruit in each season. Their leaves never wither, and they prosper in everything that they do. Now, in this passage, the wicked and the sinners and the mockers represent negative people and toxic people, negative relationships, toxic relationships, and people that influence your moods in a negative way, people that influence your happiness in a negative way, people that influence your joy in a negative way, people that influence your faith and your outlook on life in a negative way, and people that really just influence your life in a negative way, in a way that causes you to become a person that you really just don't want to be. It unleashes your anger. You don't want to be that person. It unleashes your impatience. You don't want to be that person. It unleashes your frustrations with other people, and you don't want to be that person. It unleashes your own unhappiness and your own negativity, and you don't want to be that person. And so basically, this is a very simple way that we could explain these verses, and notice this today and remember this. The quality or the joy of my life is determined by the quality and the joy of my relationships. The happiness of my life is always going to be determined by the happiness of the people that I allow in my life. The joy of my life is always going to be determined by the joy of my relationships. And the quality of my life is always going to be determined by the quality of my relationships. This is true not just for some people, but for every person that you and I know. But here's our problem. When I point this out, our first reaction is to start thinking about the other negative influences in our life, those people that we think are toxic in our own life, those people that we think are negative in our own life, and those people that we think are affecting our mind and our moods and our faith in our life in a negative way. But most of the time, you and I very rarely look into the mirror at our own life and ask this question. And it's a very crucial question, and it's a very important question, and this is what it is. And notice this today. What if I'm the negative influence and the source of unhappiness for someone else? We love to focus on the other people in our life that may be affecting us in a negative way, but what if you're the negative influence for someone else? Sometimes we have to start with a person in the mirror, because it's highly possible that this could be true. It's very possible that what I'm about to share with you is true. And this is what it is, and remember this today. What if you think someone else is making you unhappy, when in reality, they are just reacting to how unhappy you're making them feel? What if you are creating the negative loop? What if you think someone else in your life is stealing your joy and impacting your life in a negative way, when in reality, the only thing they're doing is reacting to how unhappy and negative you're making them feel? None of us like to think that we can be negative. None of us like to think that we're the person with the problem. None of us like to think that we're the cause of that stench in the hospital room. But what if sometimes we are? What if sometimes you and I are the negative influence? And so today, don't think about anyone else but you. And I want to give all of us a very practical list that can help us see and understand if we're the ones that's the negative influence in the lives of other people. Because the truth is this, and this is so key, and this is so crucial, and this is so important and kind of profound. And so remember this today. If you're still with me, Sam's still with you. Unhappy people create unhappy atmospheres, and that makes everyone else around them unhappy. Unhappy people create unhappy atmospheres, and that makes everyone else around them unhappy. And so today, let's look in the mirror. Now, everyone has a few negative patterns, and everyone that we know has a few negative qualities and storms and battles. We're never going to be perfect. That's why Jesus Christ died on the cross for us. But it's also very important that we recognize when we're becoming negative and when you and I are becoming the negative influence in somebody else's life, because this moves past you making negative mistakes every now and then to you just becoming negative most of the time. So let's figure this out. This is how you and I can tell if we're becoming the toxic and the negative influence for other people, if we have this list in our life. And this list is going to serve as our mirror. This list is you and I holding up the mirror right in front of us. Number one, do we have negativity in our life? If what you talk about most of the time is what's wrong, what's wrong? What's wrong with the day? What's wrong with my life? What's wrong with the world? What's wrong with the people and the world? What's wrong with my family? What's wrong with all the other people that are causing me problems? What's wrong with the government? What's wrong with the church? What's wrong? If all you focus on first is everything that's wrong, then you're a negative person. If the glass is always half empty, if you see what's wrong first instead of what's right, then it may be you that's creating the negative atmosphere. And that atmosphere makes the people around you unhappy. If you're always negative, then you're creating a negative atmosphere, and the atmosphere that you are creating is making the people around you unhappy. You're a shine stealer. The second thing on the list is this: complaining often. We all have complaints every now and then, but some people don't know when to call it quits. Seriously. Some people just complain and complain and complain. They complain about others most of the time. They complain about themselves most of the time. They complain about the food or the money most of the time. They complain about how they feel or their health most of the time. They complain about big things or small things most of the time. If this is me or if this is you, then we're the negative person and we're the toxic person, and we're actually the shine stealer in this life, and we're the ones that's causing other people to be unhappy because we're creating the negative atmosphere. The next thing on the list is this, and notice this today: not caring about other people's time. Time is the most precious thing that we have. Time is the most precious thing that we have. And it's a clear indicator that you don't care about other people's feelings if you don't care about other people's time. Because if you don't care about other people's time, then it's clear that you don't care about their feelings. And if you don't care about their feelings or their time, you're a shine stealer, and you're creating a negative atmosphere that's causing other people to be unhappy. The next thing in this list that acts as a mirror for you and I is this, and notice this today: failing to apologize. The first person to forgive and apologize is the most self-aware person in the room. The first person to forgive and apologize is the strongest and the most self-aware person in the room. We become negative when we play the poor little victim and the poor little me self-pity card instead of just owning our mistakes and apologizing. Don't deflect from what you did by becoming emotional and self-pity. Don't deflect from what you did by doing those types of things. Own it and apologize. Next thing on the list is this: jumping to conclusions. If you constantly assume the worst and jump to conclusions about the other people in your life, about what they do, about what they say, about what they tell you, about their choices, then you cause them to live on eggshells. And if you're causing other people to live on eggshells, sooner or later, they're not going to want to be around you, because you're creating a negative atmosphere that's causing them and everyone else in that atmosphere to be unhappy. And so you're a shine stealer because you're creating a negative atmosphere that's stealing the joy of other people. The next thing on the list is this: gossiping. Now, this is pretty simple. Find something else to talk about besides other people. Even if it's true. Even if it's true about their life. Find something else to talk about besides other people. There's so many other things that you and I could talk about. Talk about God. Talk about forgiveness. Talk about standing back up again and battling back from your storms. Talk about answered prayers. Talk about joy. Talk about what creates peace. But find something else to talk about besides other people. Because if you always gossip, you're the toxic person, you're the negative influence, you're creating an unhappy atmosphere that's causing the other people in your life to be unhappy, and eventually they're going to call it quits on you. The next thing on the list is this. If you're still with me, say I'm still with you. It's jealousy. It's natural for you and I to feel jealous every now and then, but when it dominates your emotions, when jealousy dominates your reactions, when jealousy dominates your life and dominates your thoughts, then it causes you to become a negative person. Jealousy causes you to be a shine stealer. And it causes you to create a negative atmosphere that makes the other people in that atmosphere lose their joy. Next thing on the list is this, being self-centered. If your first thought is usually, what do I think? What do I want? What do I feel? What's my opinion? Me. So many people live on planet me. Self-centered people get angry when you point this out too. You're being selfish. You're being self-centered. And when that happens, that negative loop just touches everyone else around you. Next thing on the list is this, being judgmental. Negative people put other people down because they don't like who they are. Negative people put other people down because they don't like who they are. Negative people put other people down because they don't like who they are. There's always a story behind someone else's choices. And if you don't know the story behind someone else's choices, then you have no right to cast a judgment about their life or to even develop an opinion about their life. Let me say that again. Everybody that we know makes choices and decisions. And there's always a story that you know nothing about behind those choices and decisions. And so because you don't know anything about those stories, you have no right to cast a judgment, and you don't even have the right to develop an opinion about their life. Unhappy people create unhappy atmospheres, and that makes everyone around them unhappy. It's the loop of negativity. And so if you're doing things like this, then probably you're causing other people around you to lose their joy and to lose their happiness. And what I just gave us all was a list. And it was a difficult list. And it was a tough list. But it was also a very confronting list to help us understand if we're the ones, not if the other people in our life need to get their act together because they're negative. It could be that our negativity is making them so unhappy that they're just responding in a negative way to our negativity. And so we have to start with ourselves and always face ourselves. And I'll say this again. I am drawn to people who shine with happiness and love. They make me better. I'm drawn to people who shine with faith and endurance and resolve. They make me better. I am drawn to people who shine with resilience and purpose. They make me stronger and they make me better. But the mockers and the negative and the critical and the angry and the toxic, if I'm around them too much, they steal my joy and they steal my shine. In my life, I want to be the type of person that shines with faith, and that's how I show other people Jesus. I want to be the type of person that shines with love and grace and compassion, and that's how I show other people Jesus. I want to shine with resolve and perseverance and mercy and kindness, and that's how I show other people Jesus. And I want to shine with joy, not negativity. I want to shine with happiness, not negativity, and that's how I show other people Jesus, because this is what happens when you worship Jesus. And this is what happens when you follow Jesus. He sets your soul on fire for love and for other people like a heat wave. wave. He set your soul on fire for the hurting and for the wounded like a heat wave. He set your soul on fire for worship and for revival like a heat wave. And He set your soul on fire for our city and for our community and for following Jesus like a heat wave. And I don't know about you, but that provokes me to worship. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us today. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Now continue to stay tuned in for an amazing time of worship with the amazing Water's Edge worship team. We cannot wait to see you back next week, and we love you all.